Amazing. Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is great. Everyone's joining in. Fantastic. Welcome, welcome. If you can have video on today, we would love to be able to see you. You will know that you are muted, but we have a fantastic team here to run an amazing workshop all around how to break into book illustration. We've got so much to cover for today. Just as we all join, can everyone pop in the chat where you are in the world and what you do creatively? Right? Where you are in the world and what you do creatively. Everyone else is joining in. We have a big workshop today, lots of people joining us, which is fantastic. Just pop in the chat before we get underway where you are in the world and what you do creatively. Amazing. Busy chat. I love it. Despite my accent, everyone's like, wait a minute, have we arrived? Are we talking to someone in Australia, New Zealand? Hard to say. I'm from New Zealand originally. We'll do a bit more of an intro soon, but I'm actually based in Richmond, Virginia. I know this is not a Richmond, Virginia accent that you're all hearing, but that's where I'm based. I'm actually visiting San Diego for a week at the moment. So I'm actually over in Pacific time. Those of you also in Pacific time here as well. Amazing. Loving seeing everyone in the chat sharing. So if you've just joined us, where you are in the world and what you do creatively. Right, we can see we've got people all over Cleveland, Michigan. There we go. Hey, Mark, illustrator, mostly children's books, illustrator, photographer, graphic design there, Stephen. Nice. Florida. Lots of illustrators here. Traditional fantasy art, Abby. I love that. Portland. Nice. Charles from Chicago. There we go. Hey, Charles. Amazing. Branding, graphic design, websites. That's not my passion. There we go. Delphine, Maryland. This is amazing. Just seeing everyone sharing where they are, that's really, really cool. We have lots to cover for today, so we are going to dive into it. We're going to start off by doing a few introductions, just so you know who all the lovely people here hosting today are, and then we're going to dive into it. So, Vera, over to you if you want to do an introduction.
Hi, everyone. It's so great to see you all here. I'm so excited for this workshop, and I'm pretty sure, we're going to have some great things to share with you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Vera Drmanovski. I'm a lettering artist and an illustrator, basically focusing on book covers for publishers, book box companies, and also indie authors. I have been freelancer for about 3 years, and I have worked with major publishers in North America as well as the Europe, and also book box companies who basically produce special editions books for their monthly subscribers, in case you haven't known, because I didn't know before I started this. So that's also like a really great publishing niche, so to speak. I'm based in Montreal. Currently, I'm in Serbia visiting a family and going back there in about a week or so. So, super excited. I have worked with Logan on his program when I started freelancing, which was, I believe, in 2002. And since then, my business has grown really, really exponentially. And, I'm having a blast, so to speak. I'm really living a dream. Yeah,
I
that's
love
all.
that. I think that's the most important part, right? Is having a
Yeah.
blast, living a dream, bringing joy to the work that you do. I love that. Thank you so much. Josh, do you want to do a bit of an introduction as well?
Sure. Yeah. Hello, everyone. It's great to be here. Yeah, my name is Josh Cleland. I'm a children's book illustrator and recently a course creator. And I've actually got my start. I started my freelance business way back in 2009. So about 16 or whatever, however many years ago that was. And I think January 2009 started in graphic design, doing all the normal graphic designy stuff like websites, logos, things like that. And then I've always wanted to be an illustrator. First, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a cartoonist, and then later on, wanted to really be in children's books. And so I kind of slowly transitioned into full-time illustration um, around maybe around 2016. I started doing mostly illustration for like children's books, greeting cards, games, puzzles, and things like that. Mostly in the children's market. And I work with like publishers and clients all over the world. I'm actually here, I'm based in Hillsboro, Oregon, which is just outside of Portland, Oregon, USA. So for a brief moment, Logan and I are in the same time zone, which is kind of weird, which is kind of cool. Um, but yeah, so that's where I'm at. I work from home, work from but yeah, so I actually and then and I mentioned I also create courses mostly centered around children's books, but with like character design and also illustrating children's books as well. So, but yeah, I started working with Logan, around March of I think 2024. So about a year and a half ago, I think we started working with Logan and the team, um, and uh, and in that time I was, like I said, I started my business in 2009, but I was kind of like plateauing a bit, especially after COVID and kind of like needing to kind of like re-energize things. So I started working with Logan and the team and Alyssa and the team to kind of reestablish foundations and just to help identify like growth opportunities and kind of like re-engage my mindset in a positive direction. And that's where I kind of like started creating my courses and things like that and getting bigger book deals as well. But yeah, so Logan, I'll just kind of give you a brief introduction to Logan. So Logan created his entrepreneurship, or he completed his entrepreneurship and masters, um, and has had his own creative business for about 11 years. He worked with universities, creative programs all around the world, just helping creatives learn and grow. He has since worked with hundreds of graphic designers, muralists, illustrators like me, visual creatives all over like North America and Europe, just helping them just identify and grow their businesses. He has helped clients leave their toxic J jobs and finally build the business of their dreams, and also take creative freelancers from freelance creatives from like 1,000 a month all the way up to like 5,000 a month, and then even like 25,000 a month and beyond. So that's a little bit about Logan, and I think I'll kind of just pass it on to you, Logan.
Appreciate that, Josh. Thank you so much as well. And yes, good to be in the same time zone as you for a change. Usually, I'm over in the East Coast
Yep.
time zone. So those of you that have just joined us, you might have caught at the start, but I'm based in Richmond, Virginia, despite me being from New Zealand originally. So my wife's actually American, so that's why we're based in the US. We do try and visit New Zealand occasionally as well. We have so much to cover today, but I also wanted to make sure we also introduce two of the other amazing people we have on the call today. We have Paul and Alyssa from my team, from the Flamboyant Entrepreneur team. They're coaches on my team as well. And as part of this call, we're actually going to be giving away a whole lot of freebie calls, free coaching calls with my team, with Nadine, Paul, and Alyssa from the team. We'll be doing that right at the end of the call. It'll be open to everyone. We would love everyone to book in those calls, but I do want to make sure that you get to hear a little bit from who Paul and Alyssa are today. So they're going to do some introductions as well. So Paul, do you want to kick us off just sharing a bit more about yourself and your role?
Yeah, thanks, Logan. So excited to be here with you all today, and this is going to be a great one. My name is Paul Corgan. I'm the creative business specialist on the team, and I love to chat with you all about your businesses, where you're at, how to grow with them. I'm based in Maine in the US, and I have some businesses there of my own, like a Christmas tree business I run seasonally and some other stuff. So I come at it from kind of a business perspective as well. And really excited to chat with you on these calls. I hope to talk to all of you. It'd be great.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Paul. Really appreciate that. And Alyssa, do you want to do a short introduction as well?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Alyssa Harmon, and I'm the program manager and one of the business point coaches here at Flammable Entrepreneur. I work closely with Logan and the rest of the gang. It's really great to be here with all of you. I am based in sunny Tampa, Florida, and I've had the pleasure of living and working in various parts of the US. My background is in higher education, and I have my master's in higher education and a doctor of education in educational leadership. So I specialize in working with adult learners and truly value building strong relationships with our clients. So thank you so much for joining us today, and I'll pass it back to Logan.
Amazing. Thank you so much, team. I absolutely love that. As part of today's workshop, we're actually going to be getting Josh and Vera to share some of their insights around the different learnings along the way as well, which I'm so excited about because you're going to get the real life part of the learnings as well. Yes, absolutely. I can teach, I can share the learnings, the strategies, the tips, but you being able to really hear about these things in action is going to be so, so powerful as well. Now, first thing I'd love to say is congratulations for being here, right? Like, everyone, I get it. Like, maybe it's your lunch hour, maybe you're really busy. Most people are really busy right now, but you're showing up. What we really see is part of growing a successful creative business is take action, is showing up, is being there for the educational side as well. So well done for being here. As part of this, we are going to have a bit of fun and show what taking action actually looks like. We want to make sure we have a really interactive chat today. So we're going to be giving away $100 to the person today who is the most interactive. That means putting things in the chat, insights, shares, if things are resonating. Video on, we love it if we can see you. We can scroll through and see everyone here, see your lovely faces. So video on if possible today. Look, if you are eating lunch, of course, you can have your video off, that's fine. But just really excited to do that. We'll choose someone at the end and we'll send them $100. Super simple. We just have a bit of fun with it. It really encourages some nice interaction, encourages you all to really lean in and get the most out of today's workshop as well. So if you have just arrived, make sure you do pop in the chat where you are in the world and what you do creatively. Make sure you pop that in the chat already. Now, today's topic all around how to break into book illustration. This is a really interesting topic because this is a big area of opportunity. Now, myself and my team, we get the unique position of being able to work with lots and lots of people and speak to even more people. So we get to see what works and also what doesn't work in growing a creative business. So we're going to be sharing a whole bunch of those learnings today. A big part of this is that many people ignore the business stuff, the marketing, right? The sales stuff. I can see a few people's faces going like, oh yeah, right. That's the thing, right? Like, and this is to really acknowledge that I'm sure everyone here, the vast majority of people here are really good at the creative side, the craft, right? Whether you're already book illustrating, whether you're in another area or industry or you're graphic designing, you're doing illustrations, you're doing murals, right? I'm sure you're really phenomenal at what you do creatively. Is there always room to learn creatively? Yes, that's a lifelong journey, but I'm saying you're probably good enough to grow a long-term sustainable business. The thing is, there's another side to a creative business. Creative side, yes. There's also this business side too, right? So that's what we're going to really get focused on here. And ultimately, this is how we work with people as well. This is how we help people. It's the business side, right? It's the business side of actually growing that creative business. So to start off with, what we're going to talk about is why book illustration. Why is this an area of opportunity? Why is this something that we're dedicating a whole hour to, running a whole workshop on? And I think one of the things here is really sharing that when we say the word book illustration, we're actually talking about a whole industry with lots of different opportunities for creative people. There's a lot of diversity and a lot of options within this, right? The world of publishing is absolutely huge. Yes, we might think straight away of like, okay, like fiction and like book covers. Okay, but children's books, activity books, right? There's a lot of things within children's books. We could look at the book covers versus the designs and illustrations inside. We could look at, yes, adult fiction. There's also often a lot of blur and crossover. You can start leaning into things like magazines and how-to guides and, getting more into activity books. So the area of publishing and illustration within that, there's actually a lot of opportunities when you start digging into that, even on the digital side as well, right? So we'll kind of talk about that a little bit more, but the opportunities here are growing. It's a lucrative field, it's a growing field. So, one of the interesting things that we saw with Kindles coming out, right, there's a lot more books digitally. Well, we did actually see a bit of a drop-off of purchases of physical books. What's really interesting is that it's actually increased again, right? So there is a lot of opportunities. People still want to have physical books, and that means there's a lot of opportunities within illustration to be involved in these areas as well, right? So there is a lot of people doing this, but the opportunities are growing. Really, really interesting. Also, we're seeing that more people are writing and creating books. There's more opportunities for basically people publishing their own books out there, right? Because it's a lot easier to self-publish than it used to be. And a lot of them want to work with illustrators, want to have opportunities in this space as well, and really grow what they're doing. They need to have great illustrations as part of that, right? So just being really clear, there's a ton of opportunities in the space. Another thing I will share is that you can charge really good rates for your creativity, right? For your craft. There's a lot of ways you can charge for your craft, for your creative illustration skills. Absolutely. Books and book publishing is a great area because you can charge really good rates, right? So, typically when we work with people, part of what we also do is help them identify the different opportunities. We work with people that are early stage, trying to get started. We also work with people who have been doing this for a long time, like Josh. He'd already been working for many, many years as a full-time creative. Yeah, we helped him to really grow that part, identify other areas of opportunity as well. Part of it is making sure you're charging good rates. There's a lot of things you can do with creative skills. I won't go into it, but print on demand. Those of you that know print on demand, right? Is an area of opportunity. The problem is you're charging very little per design and you're getting a very small volume of things, right? You need to sell thousands of things through print on demand to actually make any money. It's really hard to make that work. It's really competitive. Whereas if we start looking at areas within book illustration, you can actually charge much higher amounts. Right? Really, really powerful. So yes, you can also end up in a place where you're not charging enough and you're working too much. So you've got to get that pricing side right. There's many elements to growing a creative business successfully. Yes, part of it is doing the creative work. Part of it is getting out there, finding the clients. Part of it is also the pricing side. Mindset is another whole area, a big area of growing a business as well. So absolutely love that. So Vera, we'd love to hear kind of some of your thoughts around these things I'm sharing around the opportunities, and the value you can create in this space as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting that you have mentioned that once the digital formats have come to the world, everybody thought that the print books will die off, but that actually didn't happen, and it increased. And with that, like the opportunities have increased. And also, what I've learned as I was when I got firstly, why when you say why did I get into this industry? Well, I'm kind of a book nerd. Like it's just I love books, and I also have this call it an affliction or something where I am really interested in a lot of different areas of creative work, and I kind of drift to, oh, I like that. I want to try that. It's called the shiny object syndrome. So that's something that I have been struggling in the beginning of my career because I've tried everything that you can possibly think of as a graphic designer, from multimedia, animation, illustration, lettering, paper lettering, like you name it. When I see something that I like, I want to try. And then I have realized also that I cannot build a business like that. That's just called creative chaos. And when I started working with Logan, we kind of like took a look at that, my sort of ADHD kind of a thing where I'm all over the place, and sort of figured out how I can use that. I call it my shiny object syndrome, how I can actually turn it into a superpower, and realize that book covers and publishing industry is a perfect playground for me to just go nuts with my creative skills and employ all the things that I have learned throughout my career, not just as a freelancer, but I've been working in creative industry for 10 years prior to start freelancing. I realized that I can just employ all my skills and then combine them in many different ways to create very different outcomes. And that is something that is very important in publishing industry because there's so many opportunities and each book cover is a blank page. That means that you can very much use all those skills to create very different outcomes for the stories that you need to tell. So that's one of the reasons why I got into the publishing industry, for the pure love of books. Little did I know how actually lucrative that business is. And then as I was sort of like going through it, I have realized that there are so many sub niches within the creative industry, not only the type of books. For example, Josh is doing children's books. I'm mostly focusing on fantasy book covers. But there's also so many opportunities with the special editions that those book box companies are doing. Then there's opportunities to work with self-publishing authors where you're also able to do the interior of the books. Maybe not the illustrations, but you can do the interior design, the chapter illustrations, the tipping pages where the authors want to sign their books and stuff like that. So there's so much opportunity. As well as I learned that for those book box companies, books are only a part of the projects and products that they are producing. So they're basically doing all kinds of products, from anything that you can think of, from glasses, mugs, t-shirts, blankets, towels, like like anything that you can think of. They're basically making them into bookish items, meaning they're putting quotes from books on those products. So you also get the opportunities not only to work on book covers, but you also get the opportunity to work on so many different cool items that you get as a gift, and then you all of a sudden have all these cool items that are really rare because they're only printed in small amounts. And it's just such a cool area of business as well. So yeah, book book illustration business is actually really versatile, and there's so many opportunities. And if you're like me and you would like you would like to explore that world, I think it's a really cool industry to work in. Yeah.
Amazing. I love this. And I love that we get to really hear from Vera and from Josh soon as well about these opportunities, right? Because yes, I can sit here and say, yes, everyone, there's opportunities and it's growing and all these things here, but like to really be speaking to someone deep in the industry as well is so important as well. I love that. Okay, fantastic. So the next thing we're going to talk about is really breaking in, right? Like getting started. I'm sure there's people here who are already book illustrators. Fantastic. That's great. There's going to be some tips here for you too. But also, I'm sure there's people here that are like, well, I've been kind of like considering this as an area of opportunity, right? Like, could I delve into this? Could this be something that I could get into, right? So there's several things around this. One of the big things here is, showcasing that you can do the thing, right? Showcase that you can actually create designs, illustrations for a book cover or inside that. So part of it, yes, is you've got to work on, the portfolio, work on that there, prove your abilities. You don't need to have extensive experience to get into book illustration, but you are going to need to show some of your work, some of your designs. A really good tip around this is actually to create mock-ups and maybe even do personal projects, right? And I know this is something that many people do. I know Vera and Josh have done this as well, particularly early on when you're like, hey, like, I want to work in this industry. I want to be able to do this, but like, how are people going to trust me? Well, part of it might be, okay, well, if you want to be doing book covers, could you create a book cover mock-up, right? Like, and it could even just be like an existing idea, or you could create the idea of having a book and go, okay, if it was a book on this, okay, I'm going to create a design for that. And that's what you're going to display on your portfolio. That's what you're going to display on your website. That's maybe what you're going to even share on Instagram about as well. So that's a really interesting area to get into. What you can also do is leverage other creative work. Right? Like this is very smart, right? You might be like, well, I'm not in book illustration, but I'm a designer doing packaging design, or I'm a graphic designer, I'm a muralist, right? Well, you can actually take existing work and designs that you have and showcase them, maybe even reformat. So this could be more of a format that could be in publishing in books, right? Also remember, you just showing that you are a professional creative person and these are the sorts of projects you have done is going to build credibility. Even if you're not actually in publishing right now, like you're not like in this area of book cover design, but you want to be, well, you showcasing the work that you do in other areas shows you as a creative professional, right? Shows you as someone that can execute, someone that is trustworthy, right? Because often, you've got to start somewhere. This is really important. And everyone starts somewhere. We see this quite classically with people and across lots of industries being like, oh, but I've never done this before. So how would someone work with me? And the truth is that, everyone has to start somewhere. Building that know, like, and trust is going to be part of that. But you don't need to have like 20 book covers to prove that you can do a book cover. Right? You may need just a few mock-ups and you may have some existing designs. You may do some personal projects to show that you can, but you probably only need 2 or 3 to get that first client. Is more better? Yes. And you'll get that as you go, but you've got to get those first clients as well. So Josh, we'd love to hear some of your thoughts around kind of breaking in and really leaning into this part.
Yeah, I mean, I really want to hit home on the personal projects, really, because um, I feel like when I go back through my creative journey, whether it's actually starting my freelance business in graphic design, um, getting, or even before that, my first graphic design job, which was like 2006 or something like that. Um, I got that job through through just creating some mock-ups, like you said, um, Logan, just creating mock-ups, putting it on my website. Back then, there weren't like mock-up generators or anything, so I had to like actually teach myself how to do that. Um, and yeah, so that's how I got my first graphic design job, and then it's how I transitioned into illustration. And in transitioning to illustration with like especially books, there's a couple projects that I just kind of want to share, just to kind of give some examples of what I did. Um, and maybe it'll be helpful. But I think it's around 2015, 2016. I'm going to post the link here in the chat. I I illustrated this poster, just kind of celebrating Portland, um, kind of where I grew up, and it's funny, the style is very different from what I work on, what I do now. It's completely different. But I wanted to kind of do like just like a poster that just celebrated in my hometown. So I posted it online, and then that led to my first couple book deals almost within a month of each other, uh, uh, that were centered around Portland and also Oregon. And then so there's that. So that really kind of got me my first professional book jobs. Even though it was just a poster, kind of like what Logan said, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to create like a whole library of stuff. It's just sometimes it could just be one piece can can spur that on. And also I also partnered with a friend of mine around that same time frame to create kind of like a Kickstarter project, a book, children's book project. And I have it right here, and I think we launched this in 10 years ago, 2015, on Kickstarter. And Brad, who wrote the book, he did all the Kickstarter like stuff, and I don't envy him because that was a big project, and he emailed like every person he knew, and we know. But that was a whole nother story. But that kind of like gave me credibility, in the children's book world, so people can see, oh, you can create a full-on book, because it's one thing to like create a poster, um, one image, but then to kind of like bring that into a full 32 or 40 page picture book, that's quite another thing. So that's kind of been been my journey. And also, uh, networking, conferences, and then just learning about the industry, and making getting relationships with other artists and creative directors and designers. And around the same time frame in 2015, 2016, I had a really good friend, Josh Lewis. He's an illustrator. Um, and he actually did some work with Highlights magazine. And so he knew the art director for Highlights, Patrick Greenish. And I just saw they were talking back and forth on Twitter, and I just joined the conversation. And then Josh was like, "Oh yeah, so my friend Josh here, we're the two Joshes. Yeah, I think he'd be great for Highlights." And so that's kind of how I got into that. And then that kind of gave me credibility, and it just snowballs after that. So yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much. And once again, being able to hear from Josh and Vera, so powerful as well. I know we've just had a whole lot more people have just joined us as well. We just increased our meeting limit, so we've got more people able to join. If you did just join, we will make sure we send out that recording to you afterwards, so you can watch the start. But do pop in the chat. We are in the world and what you do creatively. If you have just joined us or didn't quite get to add it at the start as well. So we're going through a bunch of these key tips and strategies around how to break into book illustration. The next one I want to talk through is the marketing stuff. Right, you already heard quite a lot from Vera and Josh about some of the things that they've done here. I think part of it, just like I said at the start, is really acknowledging that there's two sides to the creative business. There's the creative stuff we've already talked about. Absolutely. Yes. Room to learn, areas of opportunity within that, but you've got to also get the business stuff right. And a big part of that is marketing, right? And marketing's the biggest challenge that pretty much everyone has in all businesses, not just in book illustration businesses, not just in creative businesses. This is across the realm, is having enough of the right people knowing you exist. Right, hear what I said there? Not just having enough people to know you exist, but having enough of the right people. Really, really important. There's layers to this depth of this here. Now, understanding that if you want to be in creative business and you want to grow sustainably, then that's going to be part of it, is the marketing piece, right? You're going to have to get yourself out there. And, we've seen it, particularly people who are, early stage, even people that have been doing it for quite a while. There's sometimes a bit of a mentality of like, oh, like, where are the opportunities? Like, why is no one finding me? Like, I've built my website, I've got my Instagram, like, why is no one contacting me and asking for quotes? Right. And that is a beautiful thing when you can get that happening. But the truth is, we need to spread the message. We need to spread the message that you exist to the right people. I sometimes kind of think about this as like, it's like growing a spider web, right? When you just start off, you're in the middle of that web, you don't have any web, it's just you. But then when you actually start to extend and you add some web here and some web here, and you can kind of grow that net, more people know about you, more people know what you do. To get referrals, well, you have to have other people that know about you, you have to have people that you've worked with already. So a big part of it is leaning into the marketing part and acknowledging that it's hard and it's not natural. And for many of you, you're probably not excited about it. And many of us are like pretty over social media, right? We hear that a lot. Now, social media itself, yes, this is one way to really market yourself. It's a good way to display things visually, right? Yes, a website is important and good as well, but actually having a space where people can connect with you, find you, even message with you is important as well. And it's more dynamic. You can add more of your work there as well. It can be hard to get right. It can be hard to get the views, right? We hear every day the algorithms changed and we're not getting the views we used to, all of those things there, but still acknowledging Instagram, social media is still a good area to promote yourself, market yourself. Even if you're not getting lots of views, well, actually, you don't need to have thousands of clients, right, to grow this business. You need to have a small number of clients, but you're charging really good rates. So understanding that certainly social media is part of it. We're still saying, yes, everyone should have an Instagram. Yes, everyone should be posting on there. Not everyone has to post there every day. That's a really important thing. Right? Acknowledging that everyone. We have clients that do not post on their Instagram every day, that are less consistent, but the key is that they still are on there, they still are engaging somewhat, but they're also leaning into other areas to market. Because the truth is, if it's not going to be Instagram, it's got to be something else. Right? So outreach is a big area that is still working, strategic outreach. The thing I love about outreach, and we're talking about, could be DM, Instagram outreach, or it could be email, cold email outreach. Well, the thing is, it's really targeted, right? So if you know your ideal client and who you would like to be working with, you can go and let them know and say, hey, over here, I exist. I think sometimes we think about cold email outreach as like, oh, like those spam emails that I get all the time. And it's like, no, this is more targeted. It's targeted and often personalized to who actually would want to work with you, who would appreciate what you do. Also, you're all doing beautiful, amazing, creative work and creative things, right? Like that is the best type of email to receive for anyone, is an artist contacting them saying, check out my amazing work, would love to work with you. Here's what I do. Here's how I can help, right? So really acknowledging that. Is it the most exciting way to market? No, right? It's cold email outreach. It's repetitive. It's a numbers game. There's a lot to it as well. But part of it is working out the strategy, really mastering that as a skill. But as I said, part of this is understanding and knowing, okay, who is the ideal client? What sort of work do I want to be doing? Who would I like to really target to work with as well? Other areas of marketing that you can delve into, partnerships and industry relationships can be really important as well, right? We've seen Josh and Vera have both really lent into this as well, and really saying that, hey, yes, absolutely, getting into things like cold outreach and getting into your Instagram, yes, but also building strategic partnerships, right? This could be with publishing houses, right? This could be forming networking groups or being a part of different networking, both in person and online. Right? Part of what we're also doing here today is getting you connected with other creatives. So we are going to take a real bit of a moment here in the chat. I would love everyone to post their URL into the chat of their Instagram. Vera, Josh is going to post theirs as well. Celeste is here on the team as well. From my team today, she's going to post the Flammable Entrepreneur one. So we'll post that. You've got the Flammable one there. Everyone else, go get your URL, your Instagram, and post it into the chat. Not the @tag, right? Because you can't click it. Go open a browser like everyone's doing here and drop in the link, right? Drop in the link. Then I want you to go through and click, and connect with a bunch of people. See what everyone's up to, right? Go and like some people's stuff. Go and comment on some things. Go and be supportive of your community, because this is your creative community as well. Definitely make sure that you're connected with us too. We'd love to really hear what you're up to. I know that myself and Celeste have already been chatting to some of you in our direct messages on the Flammable Entrepreneur Instagram as well. Amazing. Look at that. We've got a very full chat right now. Now, the one thing I will say, everyone, because there's a lot of people here, your browsers might be like, right? So that's fine. You might want to go through, open them up, or you could actually go through and just save those links on it. You could open an email, drop those links in, and add them later. It can be a lot to follow there on that. I totally get that. Cool. Okay. So yes, building connections, building community. This is part of it, right? Networking. This is actually a networking opportunity for everyone here as well. Right. And you might be like, oh, but is there going to be people here that are going to hire me? It's like, no, but they might pass you work. They might engage with your content. They might refer you something. There could be a new friend in here. There could be someone that could inspire you by a strategy that they're using. Right. Josh and Vera totally get this. They've built amazing communities within their Instagrams as well. Really, really important. Okay. Fantastic. We are going to keep moving along. Obviously, we have lots to cover here, but I think just really acknowledging that building this marketing part is really, really powerful as well. Vera, would love to hear some of your thoughts kind of around more of that marketing side from your experiences as well.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of continue the first question that Josh had, like how to break into the industry, and that is by creating personal projects, of course. And I shared the project that actually got me my first book deal. But then what to do with those projects, and that is the marketing part. Like it's great, you have now you have made your portfolio, but then what to do? And for me, of course, I have put it on the Instagram. I have been also at the time, I wasn't using cold email because I was afraid of it, which is something that Logan kind of later on helped me sort of dissolve that fear from really just sending an email. It was a ridiculous fear to have in the first place. But basically, what I did with my first project and how I sort of did an outreach, but of a different kind. Because book covers are such a specialized niche within the creative industry. So I sort of Googled where I can share that beyond social media. And I have found this website. It's called Spine Magazine, which was basically a website it's a blog that was really focused on book cover design. And it was sharing the designs of all kinds of book cover artists out there. And they were talking about the process of creating book covers. So I took my passion project where I redesigned 9 books of my favorite author and literally physically rebind the whole collection because it was old and worn out. And I reached out and I shared my project in a it's also a sort of an email outreach. So I have got the reply back and they loved my project and they wanted me to write an article about it. So I wrote an article for that blog, which basically is an online community of people who are in the book cover design industry. And not even a month after my project was published on that blog, I got a request from Penguin Random House, from an art director that works at Penguin Random House. And when I did a little bit of research, like where did she find me? Where did she see me? I realized that she doesn't have an Instagram, so she's not on there. I didn't reach out email-wise to her. So I Googled her name and I realized that she also wrote an article about one of her books in the same blog. So she probably saw my blog there, my article there. And that's when I realized that really social media is super important, honestly. but it's more important to be a little bit more creative when it comes to outreach. And just as you can do cold outreach with emails and stuff like that, you can also connect with people in different areas. So figure out where the right people hang out. What do they follow? And because we are such a specialized industry, it is not hard to figure that out. There's not that many blogs in the world that focus on book covers. There's only probably one, maybe two, I don't know. Then there's some podcasts also that are also focused on books and book covers, and reach out to those podcasts. Maybe they will have you on as a guest and then talk about your creative process and stuff like that, which is also a thing that I've done. And I was a guest on one of the podcasts that is really specialized and mostly for indie authors. So that's where my niche of my target market of indie authors hang out there, and they're watching that podcast, and they see me as a designer, so they know they can come to me if they want to work with me. So things like that are also very important. Just be innovative and look at the internet as like really a land of opportunity, and just go think larger than just Instagram. Instagram is amazing. And even though I don't have a lot of engagement and I don't have a lot of followers, I just hit 10,000 recently, and that's not a huge number. And it took me like 10 years to get to 10,000. So, but I have a very successful Instagram. I always say that because my clients see me there, because my Instagram feed is very, very specialized. And when they open up my feed, they know exactly what I do right away. That wasn't always the case. So when I started working with Logan, I was again all over the place, whether I was doing paper lettering or animation or whatever. Like it was just so confusing. Today, it's very, very focused and strategic feed. And when my clients come, my potential clients, when they come to see what I do, they know exactly what I do. So it's very, very important to keep that feed clean and clear, so to speak. You don't have to post all the time. I really don't post all the time. I don't have the time for it, but when I do, it's always the same thing. I don't mix it with my cat posts, or even though my cat is really cute, but I just don't. Like I keep it business, clean and professional. So things like that, I think. And as you said, Logan, email outreach is really important, especially in the beginning, especially until you get those first opportunities. Just go ahead and reach out to people, because they will not find you. The only way they can see you is if you let them know that you exist. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, because the worst thing that can happen, nobody will reply. Big deal. Right?
This stuff is so powerful, everyone. Like Vera has just, and Josh as well, have just been dropping these tips and strategies. Do you notice there what Vera then started talking about is the mindset side, right? Like that's what it comes down to as well. Like we can all sit here and say you have to do this and these strategies here, and yes, it's tactical, right? Part of building a business is how to do things, the approaches, the templates, the emails, their strategies, all of those things. Absolutely. There's also this big mindset side, right? Vera and Josh have been through great growth journeys personally and professionally as a result of them growing a business. Right. So really acknowledging that is that, we talk about things like imposter syndrome or building confidence or belief that it's all possible for you. Right. These are all essential pieces to it as well. Right. And really like what Vera said is like, yeah, like sending cold email, like the worst thing is you just may not get a reply. Well, that even is terrifying. Well, what if no one replies? Okay, well, you've got to still get yourself out there and you've got to give things a go as well. There's so much to this. And I'm sure everyone here feels at times like they're the only one that struggles or feels overwhelmed or feels like their work isn't good enough. No, like even our clients that we've been working with for years, they still notice these things coming up, even if they've been running their own creative business, sometimes for decades. They still notice that things like imposter syndrome can come back, or things like confidence, particularly as they reach new levels as well within their business too. The mindset work never actually ends. Really important to acknowledge that as well. Cool. So what we're going to briefly talk about next is the difference between having an agent or being independent, not having an agent in this industry. Now, first thing I'll acknowledge is that there is not a right or wrong way. It's not that you have to have an agent to be successful, or you should not have an agent. Absolutely, some people will say that. Some people say no, that's the only way, or this is the only way. No, it's just not true. We've seen both sides of this. We've seen, yes, it can be really beneficial to have an agent in your corner to promote what you do, to handle the inquiries, for sure, right? Also, there's people who can do it themselves, right? If you have an agent, you're also going to have to pay a portion for having an agent, right? But that can have its benefits too. The biggest thing I'm going to say today around agents or not agents is that sometimes people see them as a silver bullet. Oh, I hate the marketing stuff. That stuff's really hard. Therefore, if I can just focus on the creative side and have someone else deal with all of that, that would be great. That would be the dream, right? But the problem is several things. One is if the agent isn't very good, well, you're not going to get anywhere. Two, let's say the agent is really good, and then after a year you lose them. Well, you're not even going to know how to grow your business. You're going to be suddenly out of business really fast, within literally weeks, because you won't know how to market yourself. Also, agents don't just do everything, despite you may thinking they right? Josh has an agent within part of his business, and he still has to do a lot of the marketing work, a lot of the footwork as well, right? So just really acknowledging these two sides here. But I've seen this, Paul and Alyssa see this a lot as well, is sometimes there's a mindset of like, if I can just get the agent, then all my problems are solved because marketing's hard. And it's like, well, it's not really a silver bullet. And what it's actually doing is it's taking away your ability to generate your own income with or without an agent, right? So really, really important. I kind of talk about the idea of like, it's like giving away the keys to the castle. If you don't acknowledge that, you need to learn and grow into this marketing side as well. So there's lots within that subject for sure. We're going to keep moving along, because from here, what I would love to do, I am going to be sharing how we're going to be giving away some free calls on today's training as well. We do have a few caveats, but the big thing I'm going to say here is like, we've covered the tip of the iceberg of what it takes to build a creative business, right? Yes, there's some great learning, some great tips, strategies, clarity today. I'm sure everyone's been loving this. We also find that people need to often dig a lot deeper to figure out all of these things, figure out the mindset side, dig into that marketing and sales side. The truth is that, today on this workshop, we've really just touched the tip of the iceberg of what is actually required to build a long-term successful creative business. Whether you're early stage wanting to get started, or you've been doing this for a long time, you're in a rut, or you're just ready for that next level. So as part of today's call, we are giving away free clarity calls with creative business coaches on my team. We've got Paul and Alyssa here. Actually, Nadine's also here today. She's going to be doing some of the calls as well, one of the other coaches on our team. This is going to help you to process part of what you've learned today, dig in even more, and also help you to figure out what's actually holding you back. Right. And if you want more of our help, you can also mention that to them too, and they'll be able to take you through what would look like in terms of coaching too. I am going to drop a link straight into the chat. Now, there's a lot of people on today's call, so we do only have limited spots, but we've got a pretty good number. So I'm hoping everyone here that wants to get on a call will be able to. Before I drop that link in the chat, I do have 3 caveats I'm going to run you all through, make sure everyone's happy with this. Number one, we want you to be at a place where you want to take action now. If you have a day job, you're ready to leave, you want to grow your business in the next 12 months, or you've been doing this for years, but you're ready to take things to the next step. If you're just gathering ideas and not ready to actually implement feedback, then maybe don't book this call, right? Because we've only got limited spots. The second thing we ask is that you're just willing to be open, right? Share your dreams, share your challenges, share what's getting in your way, right? Even getting a bit vulnerable, right? This is going to be an important part of it, because it's going to allow Paul, Alyssa, and Nadine on the team to really to support you to what you need to do to break through to that next level as well. Basically, we're saying you need to be coachable on that freebie call as well, right? Having a growth mindset is essential for business. It's also going to be essential for this call as well. And then the third thing is just really honoring the team's time. Obviously, they're giving up their time for these one-on-one calls as well, making sure you commit to it, you turn up ready, you're on time. Please try not to do a call in a car or on your phone, making them dizzy. Like, being at a desk, being at a stable environment, being ready early, ready to take notes, allowing the time for it, really, really important as well. So those are the caveats. If you're happy with that, can you just pop in the chat yes, or agree, or fair, or happy? If everyone here can just pop that, just make sure everyone is in agreement with that. Love that. Yeah, totally. Yes, lots of exclamation marks. That is one busy chat today, everyone. I love it. Okay, so I'm going to pop that in the chat. Go through, find a time. My recommendation is get a time as soon as possible. We even have some times for tomorrow, otherwise for next week. pop in a time there. So click that link open. I recommend you grab it now because we will run out of spots. I will just post that in the chat probably a couple of times because we've got a very full chat here today. There's that link again. So just click that link, make sure you find a time. The call will book into your calendar as well, but make sure you note the time. It will show up in your time zone as well. There we go. Okay, we are going to spend a few minutes talking through some of the questions that we were sent in. I know there's been other questions today we haven't been able to address, but we're going to address what we can here today. We're going to start off, I'm going to send this question actually to you, Alyssa. This question here is, it's kind of interesting. We've kind of covered pieces of this, but it's basically around what advice would you give to aspiring illustrators looking to break into the book cover market? Right, I'd love you to talk to that a bit more as well.
Amazing. Yeah, great question. So, we've talked about this a lot so far, but I just want to reiterate how to begin. So, you might be hoping I'm going to give you like a top secret blueprint here, but the reality is the best way to get started is simply to just begin. Okay, an analogy I love, and I talk to our current clients about this a lot. A really typical approach and a typical way that we're instructed to tackle things is ready, aim, fire, right? I'm sure you've all heard that before, ready, aim, fire. Another approach to consider, better to consider in this instance is ready, fire, aim. Okay, so taking a baby step in some direction, take a chance, try saying yes to more opportunities, try practicing. And exactly like Logan, Josh, and Vera mentioned, first of all, getting started with some mock-ups, 2 to 3 examples of some book cover designs, or bringing to life what you are envisioning, wanting to create, maybe taking some of your existing designs and transforming them, personal projects in order to make this a reality. And then, start actually pitching, networking, marketing, introducing yourself, and sharing the work that you are doing with others to help the right people learn that you exist. And this needs to happen, probably earlier than you think. You don't need to do as much as you likely think you need to do, and you don't need to necessarily have the perfect portfolio. Ultimately, it's about getting out there, even if you don't feel 100% comfortable yet. Start somewhere and simply just begin in order to break into this.
Amazing.
I hope that helps.
Thank you so much, Alyssa. I think it's so powerful. And yeah, love the analogy with the ready, fire, aim. I think it's such a good one there as well. This next question here, I'm going to send this one to you, Paul. So should I focus solely on book illustration or should I diversify? And I'm sure this is relevant for people in lots of different positions, right? If you're already a book illustrator and you're thinking about, should I keep focusing on that? Or maybe you're in another industry thinking about getting in. I'd love to hear your thoughts around this, Paul, in terms of, whether you just focus on book illustration or diversify to other areas.
Yeah. That's a great one. And it came up in the chat actually earlier, a question about that. And of course, there's the practical matter of like making income to keep your life afloat throughout. And so diversification can be really powerful in that sense. There are enough opportunities in the publishing world and book illustration to make a living out of it, but it can take time. So you want to be realistic about your timelines with this and not just go all in because it's going to take a little building up, basically. And you can have some other types of offerings, but there's also something about this in the chat. You don't have too many because it's overwhelming. You as creatives can do so many things, right? But we want to narrow it down to be able to use our focus as kind of the magic to make things work. And so maybe 1 or 2 other areas, but not like 5 or 10. And so, you could do maybe book illustration and maybe packaging design or something like that.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Paul. So powerful as well. This next question here, I'm going to direct this one to you, Vera. What role do you believe lettering plays in your cover designs? I think this is a really good one for you there.
Well, I will give you an analogy. To me, lettering in a book cover design is the same thing as a vocal in a song. I always kind of say the vocals in a song can either make the song great or completely ruin it. So the same thing is for the lettering. I think it plays a huge part because the title design is basically the first thing people will see, whether it's small or big. Doesn't matter how prominent it is on the book cover. People will read what the name of the book is. Therefore, it really has to tell the right story and fit the rest of the illustration. So for me, it is an integral part. And when I start designing, the first thing that I think about and what I do in my sketchbook, I basically just, honestly, I just first, oh, I can't show, can I show? It doesn't matter. Like the first, no, I can't, it's blurry. It doesn't matter. Basically, I first think about the letters and then I think about the rest of the illustration. So it's super important. And even if you're not a lettering artist, you still need to think about the typography. So even if you're using the fonts, it is really important to pick the right font. And it's important to how you integrate the title design into the whole illustration, not just slap it on top. A lot of people do, a lot of publishers do that, and it makes me cringe, really, because it's just disrespectful to the title design as well as to the illustration. It needs to fit. It just needs to fit. Otherwise, it just seems like one is playing one tune, the other one is playing the other tune. So hopefully that makes sense. I wanted to be a singer, so.
I love it. It's so, so good as well. And I think, as we dig through these questions, like obviously there's so many intricacies of building a creative business and the different things that can come into that as well. And part of it is also making sure we're enjoying the journey, right? Doing what you love, right? Vera said right at the start, like loving what she does, right? We've got to remember that that's part of what we're doing here as well. Yes, figuring these things out and the struggles of trying to build a business, like enjoy the process, have fun along the way as well. So, so important. Josh, I want to actually put this next question to you. We'll be wrapping up the next few minutes, but what is your creative process when starting a new book project? If you want to delve into that.
Sure. So it can kind of vary by project, but I think what I like to do, if I have the time, is typically I don't write my books. I usually illustrate other people's books, although I am working towards being an author illustrator. But I like to take the manuscript first. If I can, I like to print it out. Again, I don't always have the luxury of time, so sometimes I have to skip some steps. But like to actually print out my manuscript if the manuscript hasn't already been paginated by the publisher. Sometimes it is, and then I'll just do that. But what I like to do is like just print it out and just start taking a pen, because I work so digitally these days. Whenever possible, I like to just go back to analog and just start doodling on the manuscript, my first thoughts and things like that. Some notes and what would be fun expressions here, maybe my first take at like a character design or things like that, without drawing using a pencil, just, and then I'll go from there, work with character design, maybe start out with some what I like to call thumbnails, which is a very, very small, like pre-storyboard illustrations. I go to thumbnails, then go to storyboards, which are more tightened thumbnails, just illustrating the pages, and then move from thumbnails to tightened sketches, and then from there. But it's a pretty simple process, and it kind of varies depending on the art director I'm working with and their process. But and also, like I said, the timeline. Sometimes I have to go straight to digital, straight to sketching, straight to character design. So, but yeah, I like to kind of like start broad and then whittle it down as much as I can.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So, so powerful. This has been an awesome workshop today. Has this been good, everyone? Have you enjoyed this? Lots of smiles there on it. I love that. Lots of thumbs up. I love it as well. Those of you that didn't manage to book a call-in, we have just extended the availability. If you heard me tapping away in the background, that's what I was doing. So yeah, go click that link. I will drop it again soon as well. But we've just extended it a bit further out. So we've got some more times. We still don't have lots of times. Obviously, our team's availability is pretty tight. What we are going to do now is announce the $100. I don't think anyone forgot about that, did they? So there we go. The person that we chose, Celeste from my team, has gone through very carefully and seen that it is Sarah Beth Williams, who was the person there who gets $100. So Sarah, please send us either a direct message or an email, basically saying, hey, I won the $100, and we'll send that across to you digitally, all very straightforward, which is good. But yeah, congrats. We love the interactivity. Look, everyone was interacting a lot, so it was pretty challenging to pick the person there, but we really appreciate everyone leaning in today as well. Really, really cool. And interaction is such an important part of really making the most from things as well. What I would love everyone to do as we start to wrap up, once again, I am going to drop that link into the chat. A reminder to please make sure you've got those calls on your calendar. Please make sure that you are attending them, being ready for them as well. Celeste from my team, she's here today as well, is going to be emailing you a link and a couple of details we'd just love to get you filled in on before you have that call. Really important. It's just asking a bit more about where you're at so that Paul, Alyssa, Nadine can prepare for that call. It only takes a few minutes, but please do make sure you do that. It's going to mean you can get so much more from the call as well. I'll drop that link in again. As I said, there's a few more there. If you find it's full when you click it, then we may see if we can open up some more after the workshop as well. So feel free to check back. We will be sending out this recording for those of you that couldn't be here at the start. So feel free to watch the start of this as well within that. So what we're going to do from here is I'd love everyone to post in the chat your takeaway, right? What was your biggest takeaway from today, right? What did you learn? What was helpful? What was interesting, right? What was unique in terms of this here as well? Cool. So people starting to pop into the chat. Amazing. I love that. Oh, so many good things popping up in the chat here. I'm just reading through them. So marketing isn't so streamlined. Get to work. Doesn't have to be perfect. Oh, Joanne, I love that one. Don't wait for the perfect portfolio. Just pitch. Nice. Absolutely. Takeaway, just get started and network. Yeah, absolutely. Decide on 1 to 3 areas to focus on and create some mock-ups. Nice. More networking. Takeaway is that I should get myself out there more. This is awesome. I love this. I love that everyone's really leaned in here as well and really leaned into the learnings. There's so much in the chat here. I'm just seeing here. Yep, perfect. Looking for non-traditional ways to get your info out to people. That's an awesome one, Rachel. I absolutely love that. Awesome. We are going to wrap things up there. This has been an awesome workshop. Those of you that do have those one-on-one calls booked with Paul, Alyssa, absolutely, Nadine as well. Enjoy those calls, really lean in. You'll get some great support there. As I said earlier, if you do want support beyond that call, mention that to them and they'll be able to take you through what the process looks like for whether coaching would be a fit for you as well. We're gonna wrap things up for today. We'll stick around in the chat for just a couple of minutes afterwards as well with our video off. So if you wanted to stay in the chat for a couple more minutes, all good. But just wanted to say thank you. Josh, Vera, really appreciate you both sharing your time, sharing your expertise. You've just both been mic dropping today, sharing some great tips and strategies. Paul, Alyssa, appreciate your support today as well. And great to have everyone here as guests. So thank you for all the interaction. Amazing, everyone. Take care. Have a lovely rest of your day. Ciao.